Everything valuable is just a cultural lie. Lock in.
The auction house estimated the value of this fake pearl necklace at $600, but the price went way past
Fake pearl necklace for $600? Why is it that expensive for fake pearls?
that. $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. The people bidding knew it was fake, so what did they see that we didn't? By the time the hammer dropped, the necklace sold for $211,000.
Oh, is it because somebody famous wore it?
350 times higher than the appraised value. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, great, another rich idiot with more money than brain cells. Like the guy who bought an $88,000 Cheeto-Zard.
Somebody actually bought that? $87,000 for a fucking Charizard-shaped Cheeto?
$8,000 Cheeto-Zard. A Cheeto that kind of looks like Charizard.
I mean, it looks like a dragon. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Or the weirdo who spent $6.2 million on a banana duct tape to a wall.
Oh my fucking God. I made a rant about this before. How stupid this was. I wish when this was up for fucking auction, somebody walked up to it and just fucking peeled the banana and ate it. I mean, how stupid. $6 million. $6 million. The average American dies having made like $2 million in their whole life. 3 times that for fucking a banana duct taped to a wall. This takes 5 seconds to do. What is the... And how do you even explain the meaning of this? You know, most like dumb modern art, it's like, yeah, this is supposed to represent like depression. What is this?
We'll get to them later. But this buyer was different. Her name was...
The buyer ate the banana? Oh my God, that is the biggest you play ever, though. Holy shit. The buyer spent... No, he didn't. The buyer spent $6 million and then ate the banana? Bro, that's actually kind of like fuck you money. That's kind of tough, but also you're extremely financially irresponsible. That's aura? No, that's really stupid. But if you have enough money to buy a $6 million banana and then just eat it in front of everybody...
Linda Resnick, and she was a shrewd businesswoman with a plan. She took this cheap plastic necklace and cloned it. Every pearl, every strand, every detail. It was a perfect replica of a replica. Then she sold over 130,000 of these fake fakes. Linda turned her $211,000 purchase into $26 million of...
What? Wait, she sold them as if they were real?
Profit. So what did she see that most people missed? Like most products, this wasn't really about the physical object at all. The original necklace belonged to Jackie Kennedy, possibly the most iconic first lady.
She's the... Oh, I thought she was the one that got the lobotomy. We were just talking about somebody that got a lobotomy.
In American history.
It's JFK's daughter. No, it's JFK's sister got a lobotomy.
Jackie was effortlessly elegant. To American women in the late 1990s, Jackie's fake pearls were a symbol of grace and sophistication without excess. For $195 plus tax, shipping, and handling, anyone could buy the feeling of being a little bit like Jackie. Now here's the thing, outside of most Western countries, this necklace wouldn't be worth much. And to someone who had never heard of Jackie Kennedy, it would be worth almost nothing.
I mean, bro, that's also, it's value. I mean, generally, yeah, he's going to get into the idea that valuable is a cultural lie. Value in general is just attributed to what you perceive that value to be. The only things that actually have concrete value are, like, that's why I hate the idea of the American dollar. I think money in general, we all just agree it's worth something, right? Obviously, there's some level of, like, economic value for a given dollar in a market that's not tied to gold, because you have to have some sort of attributed value for something that changes, right? Like with inflation, our dollar's getting devalued, so we're all agreeing that our dollar's worth less and less over time because there's more and more dollars that are in the market, and so it just gets inflated. You need to pay people more, so products go up, everything goes up in value. But with that, we're no longer tied to anything, right? Like in the olden days, you would be able to use your money and trade that in for an equivalent amount of gold. And yes, you could go buy, you know, gold with American dollars, but we're not backed by the gold standard anymore. Like money used to be tied to gold. It's tied to nothing now, right? Like it's just the US dollar is like the world market's money. Right after World War II, we started revolutionizing everything. America was like kind of the first country that spearheaded like, hey, we all have to kind of agree that we're going to use the same rivets and things. We're going to use the same products. We're going to manufacture the world. We're going to, revolutionize trade. And then with that, we made the American dollar like the staple in the world that everybody trades with. Now it's becoming a lot more on crypto-based and other shit. But our dollar's backed by nothing. We all just agree that it's worth anything. But and I understand you need that in any, even in a gold standard-based money system, we're still agreeing like this dollar is worth this. But it has nothing that it's anchored to. So we could just randomly one day be like, this is worth $0. Money's stupid. No. And then it just fails, right? Obviously, unlikely that could happen. But you can look at countries where their money just builds and builds and builds and builds in inflation to the point where, like, their country collapses. Like, when the Venezuelan bolivar was worth literally nothing and people were fucking giving wheelbarrows of money, they were fucking lighting it on fire. It was useless. There's so many countries where the economy collapses for political reasons, obviously, but it's also somewhat tied to the idea that there's no safety net for this value. Outside of owning, like, physical things, what's up, JoJo? Outside of owning, like, physical things, your money has no value outside of what we all agree that it's worth.
Value isn't just about what something is. It's about the emotional and cultural context that surrounds it. And it gets even crazier. Linda Resnick didn't just make...
The wildest thing to me, not in art, just in value in general, CSGO skins. You look nice today. Thank you, JoJo. CSGO skins, as an example, right? Yes, we all attribute value to everything. There are CSGO skins that are worth millions of dollars. 50 years from now, CSGO, surely a dead game. Obviously, it's an individual, like, game-based skin, and it's worth that amount because it's a very rare, it's a very rare, uncommon skin that you could own. The quality's high. So it still has value in the CS market, but the CS market is all just, speculative. It's all, hey, we think it's worth this, but we know 100 years from now, whenever this game dies, it's no longer going to be worth that amount of money. What are other games where those skins were worth a shitload and now they're not? Like TFT, Team Fortress 2 maybe, or like, I don't know if that's the right game that I'm thinking of. What's another game where there's like skins that are worth crazy amounts of money? Yeah, TFT 2. Team Fortress 2, or not, maybe Fortnite. I was going to say Roblox as well. Like Roblox, wearables. Like, you could buy, like, a Roblox mask that's worth, like, $40,000 or something like that.
Replicas of Jackie's pearls. She made a replica of a replica.
Like, it's all just, dude, everything that we buy, digitalized or not, it's just all, we agree it's worth this amount, so it's worth that amount. The only things that are really, like, definitively worth money are physical. And not physical meaning money. Like, if you own land, gold, valuable metals, like, all that shit, that's, derived in some way where you have... an actual asset that you hold that will hold value regardless of how the economy's going. With stock markets, it's like you're holding a percentage of the company, but that company's, we say it's worth this amount because the people sell the stock for this amount, but in reality, like, Google's never going to just crash and burn, but we're just agreeing it's worth this amount. Same with like Microsoft, Nvidia, all these other big companies, top 5 companies in the world.
Of a replica, a tiny pearl necklace for a Jackie Kennedy doll. You just can't make this shit up. Now, I know that fake pearl necklaces for old lady boomers might seem irrelevant to you, but you do the exact same thing every day. You think a pair of Jordans costs $200 because of the materials or performance? Even your money works the same way. Try buying anything with a US dollar when the country collapses. After that, it's just paper. Even gold is just shiny rock.
Yeah, gold's shiny rock, but here's the thing. Gold's a shiny rock, but you can't just say that about gold. You could say that about money. Money's just a piece of paper. Money's just a number. Because at the end of the day, the economy could collapse and it's worth nothing. But if you have a lot of gold, you have a lot of needed things. Like, gold's used in electronics. Gold's used in technologies. Gold is used in jewelry. Like, it holds value to where it's a needed commodity that people have to have in everyday life. So it's something that you're not, like, if the economy collapsed, having gold, this is not financial advice, by the way, but having a shitload of gold isn't, like, a bad play. If the economy collapsed and you had all your money in gold, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic, right? Because now you could sell that for whatever currency you want. and you're probably good, right?
With the right cultural
The issue is gold's not going to rise as much, and then where are you going to buy your whole net worth of gold? Where are you going to put it? Like, it's just
story,
nobody does that physically anymore. Everybody's assets are digital.
make anything worth more than its weight in gold without ever touching a gram of the real stuff. In 1800s Prussia, the kingdom's ruling family needed to fund a war against France. So they asked the aristocracy to give up their gold jewelry. In return, they received iron replicas, each engraved with the phrase, "I gave gold for iron." Because of this, in Prussian high society, iron jewelry became more desirable than gold.
Oh my God. And then it just flipped the value market on gold.
I mean, sure, gold jewelry meant you were wealthy, but iron jewelry meant you were wealthy, generous, and patriotic. It signaled that you were part of a larger cultural movement, sacrificing for the good of the nation. In that cultural context, iron was more valuable than gold. Ancient alchemists
Some of the coolest shit that I'll see, I mean, not cool, but one of the weirdest, things that you realize in society is people will use and do whatever they can to seem well off and, better than people around them. Even in like micro situations. This is going to be kind of random to bring up right now, but those videos where people hold like wooden platforms on their back? I think it's in India, but it might be in another country. Correct me and tell me what country it's in. But it's seen as like a level of prestigiousness. The bigger the lump on the back of your neck from how long you hold these poles that weigh a shitload. And some people will forcefully inject the backs of their necks with liquids to make them seem larger, to make them feel more prestigious around those around them, because it's Pakistan. I don't know what country it is. I gotta look that up. But it's like anything, it could be social situations, it could be money, it could be assets, materialistic goods. People will always buy and use things that feel valuable and are given value around those around them. Like I always say Supreme is a really good example. I think Supreme they don't even make like good quality products. Supreme is just it's a rep brand, similar to a lot of other brands. I think like Louis Vuitton bags are extremely overpriced, but they have value in the materials that they're used. They're just, 10x what they're actually worth because of the name brand. But people will buy like streetwear brands are the biggest example for like modern youth and Gen Z, where they're making these products for like $5 a t-shirt. People are buying them for $150. When in reality, a general markup at like a Walmart t-shirt would be like maybe 50 cents to like $10. Or like the margins might be like similar in terms of percentage, but they're fucking hiking the prices up so high. Like the biggest one that's used is iPhones. iPhones have the market retail value of or the market profit margins of like Ferraris, but they sell like Ford trucks. That's always the best example the only thing I learned in marketing class in college is that certain car brands like Ford rep out a lot of cars. They make less per car, but they sell way more. Ferrari, more expensive car, but they up the profit margin. iPhones is like one of the only things that people buy in at least the US economy that is dirt cheap to produce. They sell like hotcakes, and they fucking sell them for like 50 times what they're fucking worth.
Spent centuries.
You pay for the brand, you pay for a value that's attributed. Sorry I'm rambling so much. We're only 3 minutes into the video.
Trying and failing to turn lead into gold, but they missed the point. They didn't need to change the metal. They needed to change people's minds. Even real jewelry is only valuable because of cultural context. It's based on generations of tradition, symbolism, and belief. But this emotional and cultural value is still real value in some way. This $19 strawberry from Japan is a great example. It's being sold in American supermarkets, and customers are outraged by how insanely expensive it is. And honestly, in an American cultural context, I totally get it. But the Japanese have a popular custom of giving away high-end fruits as gifts. You might think this is crazy.
I mean, yeah, you could look into like, where was it? In the Netherlands, where they were fucking selling tulips in the medieval times for like hundreds of acres of property.
But Americans don't bat an eye at spending $20 for high-end chocolates on Valentine's.
What's something that we buy that's worth flowers? The flower market flowers are expensive not only because they're perceived value, but also it's hard to get flowers in like certain areas of the world. so they're just always expensive. Wheat, we don't give wheat away. What do you mean we give wheat to people? My girlfriend loves flowers. They be expensive. It depends the flower and also the area you're in. I think living near, like, the New York flower market is worth like fucking $1 billion or some crazy amount of money. You never think about it, but if you ever buy your girlfriend flowers and you live in like North Dakota, bro, they probably came from like Europe and they're fresh. They're fresh. They look beautiful. They're intact and they're at your door. I think about that all the time. The logistics of getting anything. This is side rant. We're going side rant after side rant here. The logistics, bro. You live in Wyoming and you have access to like fucking bananas. And bananas are actually one of the easiest fruits to fucking get year round because they're grown in a lot of areas. You could cut them up when they're green. You fucking put a chemical on them. They don't ripen, and they fucking send them to you, and then they fucking spray them down. They ripen them. They put them in a air container or whatever that strikes the ripeness, and then they're at the fucking Walmart right next to you, and they're ready to go when you fucking got them from Argentina or wherever the hell you fucking harvest them from. Dude, the fucking produce market fascinates me. How you can get just... and I know it's expensive, right? I know groceries are getting more expensive, but I still find it astonishing that I can get a case of blueberries from Chile, all the way in South America, in New Jersey. They're fucking fresh. They're fresh. They're from Chile, and I get them for like $6, $8, $10. I'm like, God damn, that's all I gotta spend? Like, I know it's like, damn, dude, it eats up at your salary, and it's expensive to buy those produce. But, like, the logistics of actually getting those things to you is crazy. I think those aren't, that's like a value that isn't a cultural lie. I think, like, grocery store products, like produce specifically, the price is usually reflective of the market.
So, is this really that different? You might say that luxury chocolate is way harder to make, but that's debatable. Some Japanese fruit takes decades of selective breeding and highly specialized farming techniques. Maybe you still think the $19 strawberry is stupid, and that's fair enough, but here's another perspective. To the average Japanese person, America's obsession with massive pickup trucks is just as absurd.
And you know why that is? I don't know if this is confirmed, but I find this to be a fair theory that I've heard. People in America like bigger cars because if you see a bigger car on the highway that towers over your car, you feel unsafe if you were to get in a car crash. So you yourself are subconsciously more likely to get a larger car when you go buy a car because you know all the other cars around you are big. And if you get in a car crash with them, you'll die. So if you're driving a Ford F-250, you're a lot more safe in a scenario where you hit a Miata than that guy is from you. So if we're just constantly scaling because the cars are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because people feel more safe in larger cars.
Americans buy huge, expensive trucks, even if we never actually haul heavy equipment.
Dude, the majority of people that own trucks don't fucking use the truck bed. They just like trucks.
And never leave a paved road. They're both totally unnecessary emotional purchases. Conceptually, is that really much different from a $19 strawberry? Now, in order for any of this to work, the seller needs to provide cultural context. Notice the wooden plaque showing the origin. Without that cultural...
That's just not true. What is it?
Cultural backdrop, it's just an overpriced strawberry. Even the packaging makes it look like a sacred relic, like the enchanted rose from Beauty and the Beast. That's something that all of the objects we've discussed so far have in common. They all have a marker of authenticity, whether it's a plaque,
marker of authenticity, or just something of status. It's the same thing with liquor. It's the same thing with anything, dude. You buy a nice bottle of alcohol. The alcohol on the inside might be fractionally better, but the bottle looks so good, dude. Like, if you buy, like, a Zool tequila, $200 fucking for a bottle, or however much you spend, versus, like, fucking Patron versus Terramana, right? Like, they're gonna make it fancier to make you want it more. Like, even water, dude. Voss water comes in a fancy-ass bottle.
A certificate or an inscription, it's the marker of authenticity that shows that it's a genuine cultural symbol. Things get really weird when you transition from widespread cultural symbols to smaller subcultures. This one single Cheeto sold at auction for almost $88,000. This is Cheetozard, the perfect intersection of three niche subcultures: people obsessed with finding snacks that are kind of shaped like other things, Pokemon collectors, and a third, way stranger subculture that we'll get into in a minute. Now, we've talked a lot today about how good storytelling and presentation.
I don't even think, maybe not even a subculture, dude. People just like its status. If you own something that other people don't have, it's cool. If you achieve a rank that other people don't have, it's cool. People want to have things and achieve things that other people don't. Like, even in just like, not even spending money, ranked games, bro. Or like Minecraft. If you have a Minecraft world with your friends, you immediately want to obtain cool items that your friends don't have. You immediately want to scale faster than they do. Everything's about competition. And if everybody perceives something as valuable, you're the one that wants to obtain it.
And can turn ordinary, even ridiculous things into priceless treasures. But what happens when you have something that's actually good, like your work, your ideas, or your design portfolio? That's when great presentation becomes even more impactful. And it's why I want to quickly tell you about when you're ready to the video. First, let's just acknowledge the genius behind the name Cheetozard. That pun alone probably added like 10 grand to its value. Then they went even further, cleverly packaging it to resemble a trading card, tapping into the massive Pokemon card revival that began in the 2020s. The seller leveraged that cultural craze to boost the Cheeto's perceived value. Plus, it's a flamin' hot Cheeto. And
well, I always wonder too, like, at what point, sometime in the future, Pokemon cards, CSGO skins, all these other collectibles, Magic the Gathering cards, at some point, they will lose their value and they'll become the tulip trade of the modern day, right? Eventually, that rare Charizard card Logan Paul owns 50% of will actually be worth nothing because Pokemon will no longer exist, right? Like the trading card game, nobody will care about. People won't play the game. Like, yes, it might be 100 years, 200 years from now, but the universe is infinite, man. At some point, that's worth fucking nothing because eventually people are not even going to know what Charizard is. Thousands of years from now, nobody's going to sit there and be like, yeah, this rare Charizard card's really still worth that amount of money. We'll all be dead, so it doesn't matter in our lifetime. But, like, it just shows you that it only has value because we say this is worth $10 million.
Charizard is a fire-type Pokemon, so
it's a PSA 10.
There's that. What makes this wild is that someone was just sitting around scarfing down Cheetos when they picked this one up, paused, and said, hey, that's Charizard. And then they actually kept it safe for 2 years before auctioning it off. Imagine how many other Cheeto treasures have ended up chewed and forgotten. Statistically, at least one of you watching right now ate the next 5-figure snack because you don't spend your days examining Cheetos like some kind of junk food archaeologist. It's kind of like collectibles.
Okay, well, I doubt that guy did either. He was probably just eating a bag of Cheetos and pulled it out and was like, oh, that's a weird shaped one.
You've probably had a rare coin worth thousands sitting in your pocket at one point.
Yeah, you actually did. That's probably true. You've probably come across a penny or a dollar bill that had a certain serial number or a year and a coin that was so rare, and it was probably worth like $1,000, and you used it, and then you got 25 cents out of it. Me, yeah, the money that comes into your hands and out of you've owned in your life, you have probably owned something that is worth like 40 or 50 times what you think it's worth, and then gotten rid of it.
You spent it at
whether it be dollar bills, skins in games, owned items, toys you had.
Vending machine because you're not fluent in the
language. You had like a Hess truck that was rare from the 90s.
Language of coin collecting nerds. Maybe you bought some Cheetos with the coin. The point is, value depends so much on specialized cultural knowledge. But Cheetozard isn't even the most expensive Cheeto ever sold. That honor goes to the legendary Harambe-shaped Cheeto that sold.
Are you fucking serious? That I would rather have the Cheetozard. That looks like Charizard. That just looks like that looks nothing like Harambe, bro. That looks nothing like Harambe. If you showed me that, I would be like, this is just a disformed Cheeto. No part of me would even be like, it wouldn't flash in my brain unless you showed me the side by side.
Sold for a
You know how you know this is a piece of shit? Because the Charizard speaks for itself. You look at it and you go, that's Charizard. I need a side-by-side image. Put your hand in front of the fucking, in front of the gorilla, and you look at the Cheeto. What is that?
Staggering $100,000 in 2017. You probably remember Harambe, the gorilla from the Cincinnati Zoo. He became one of the internet's biggest memes. There was even a special salute that Harambe fans would use jokingly to pay tribute. Cheetozard highlights the subculture of auctioning off food shaped like weird things and the Pokemon subculture. But the third subculture, and arguably the most influential, is internet culture itself. The internet runs on absurdity, memes, and collective madness.
Bro, meme coins is the biggest example of value is a piece of shit. And you know the weirdest thing about meme coins to me is everyone wants to rug pull a meme coin, but when they get rug pulled, they get mad, you know? I would never start a coin because it's a scam, but like if you get into the meme coin space and you're investing in D's Nuts coin, and you're like, and then you get conned out of $100, you were going to try and do the same thing to another motherfucker. Because if you make money on a meme coin, that means that someone lost money on a meme coin. If you make money in crypto, somebody lost money. That's how it works, right? Stock market, similar, but a little bit different because it's like, you know, the value could rise and everybody keeps investing. But in meme coins generally, where the market cap is so low, if you're making $1,000 in a meme coin, you just made $1,000 out of like 35 other people's pockets, right? You took, you know, dollars out of everybody else and then rugged it, right? Meme coins in general, it's like something could pop up. What's like a big meme where the meme coin did well? I don't know. An example, a better example. That one, like, yeah, Doge is like is an older meme coin, but Doge is, yeah, an example of something that's like a funny meme, or it used to be a funny meme that people invested in. Another example, that 12-year-old that rugged a meme coin for like 30K, and then everybody got mad, and he made an I'm sorry coin, and everyone invested it, and then he rugged it again for like $25,000. Like, dude, I think he did it a third time too after that. That was live too. Yeah, no, he fucking rugged the shit out of it and then just flipped everybody off and ended stream. Dude, that happens all the time now in modern society. People are like, this meme's funny. We're going to attribute value to this. That actually has no meaning.
Selling Cheetozard for a fortune perfectly captures where we're at culturally. We love Pokemon, we love Cheetos, and more than anything else, we absolutely love blowing obscene amounts of money on objectively stupid things and then making rage bait content about it on the internet. How meta. The auction and the price becomes part of the meme and the subculture. There are dozens of other examples of this, by the way. There's the McDonald's Szechuan sauce packet that sold for like $15K in 2022 because it was featured in a Rick and Morty episode. Then there's the chicken McNugget shaped like an Among Us crewmate selling for almost $100K in 2023.
Bro, but who's buying this? Who's buying this? Genuinely. Like a Saudi billionaire? I don't understand. Me? Who has 100? Chat, you guys don't have 100 grand to spend on an Among Us chicken nugget. You're not buying that.
Nothing makes sense anymore. Which brings us to the ultimate expression of absurd value. The $6.2 million banana duct taped to an art gallery wall. Originally titled Comedian, this artwork by Maurizio Catalan sold for around $150K a few years ago, but it's gone way up from there. It's almost like the absurdity level has ramped up in proportion.
Tax write-off? It's not a tax write-off.
To its price tag. It's easy to...
Art's a tax write-off if it's donated. What people try to do con-wise, but it's really seen through it, it's not as done as you might think. A lot of people try to buy art for very high amounts of money, appraise it for higher, and then donate it, and then they get a higher tax write-off than what they've spent, so it actually ends up saving them money. But in modern times, it's usually not, it's not as easy as you think. Like, to buy a $1,000 painting, appraise it for $500,000, and then donate it, and then, you know, save yourself money on taxes. It's also, tax write-offs are only things, you only can write things off for taxes that are used for business-based reasons. You can't buy a $6 million banana on a wall and then say that it's for your business. Unless you literally own an art gallery.
Be outraged.
Unless you literally own an art gallery.
By the idea of some rich moron spending millions on a banana. And I think that's kind of the point. Just like Jackie Kennedy's fake pearls, you're not buying the object itself. Sarah Urist Green from the art assignment points out that the artwork isn't really about the banana. In fact, what you're actually buying is a certificate to display the artwork. And I'm sure you're noticing a pattern here with certificates and authenticity. But
bro, like NFTs. NFTs really died off, bro. You remember that whole era? This was probably, what, 2 years ago? where everybody was crazed with like those apes, and people would make it their profile picture, the one they own, and then people in like Twitter replies would screenshot it and be like, I own your ape. And people would be like, you don't fucking own it. And they'd be like, well, I have a picture of it. I have a picture of the ape, so that means I own it. And dude, half the people would get so pissed. They'd be like, well, you don't fucking own it. Be like, well, I have a photo of it. They'd make it their profile picture too. They change their bio to, I own a bored ape.
It's a lot deeper than that. The artwork is all of us. It's the memes, the people who flock to the art gallery, the clickbait articles, and even this video here talking about it. Our outrage gives it power and makes it famous. In my opinion, this is definitely a con game, but that perfectly reflects our current cultural reality. Life right now is absurd, confusing, and weird. The buyer is purchasing permission to participate in the performance of absurdity itself. Some people suspect that—
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're leaning into it more and more. And that's bad and funny at the same time. Like, we all know that half of the shit we buy is actually not worth that, like, what we're paying for it, but you still buy it for the sake of doing it. Like, if you ever bought, like Marvel Rivals skins, I'll spend fucking $50 on Marvel Rivals credits to buy a cool Groot skin. It's not worth anything. It's a video game cosmetic, and it's not even like, it's worth less than like a CS skin. Because a CS skin you can at least trade for money. It's just tied to my account. I just own that skin, and now I can fucking hit a cool emote. I spent $6 yesterday on fucking Blade, an emote of Blade giving Jeff a fade. Because I thought it was funny. I spent $6 on this. And I think it's worth the money. It goes to show. I think it's worth that much. In my head, I bought it and I went, props to Marvel Rivals for making that. Whoever the fuck came up with that idea, yeah, I'll give you $6 for it. Thanks. Now I'm just going to spam that emote in my lobbies.
That the artwork is just a money laundering scheme, and even that's part of the story and its value. The piece is called Comedian for a reason. The artist knew exactly what he was doing. Green goes on to explain that life today runs on outrage, each week offering a new controversy. But it's rarely directed at the stuff that truly deserves outrage, like insane wealth inequality, and instead focuses on trivialities like bananas taped to walls. The art piece represents a larger cultural idea and story. And maybe it sounds ridiculous to spend money on an idea, but Green brings up another great point. If you think it's ridiculous that a story or idea alone can be worth millions, consider this. What is intellectual property? A lot of it's just stories and ideas. What are internet views, influencer clout, and social media likes? It's all just intangible cultural capital. Bananas and Cheetos—
It's about attention, though. It's about attention. Influencers make money because you obtain attention for a certain amount of time. That's why you get pay. You have garnered the attention of 100,000 people, so that equates to some dollar amount to some company that wants to pay something to put an ad in your video so they could get money out of you in some way or another.
Arts might not be the art we want.
That's another reason I always say this. It's entirely optional to send me bits, donos, subs. You don't have to do it, right? You watching me is an even trade-off, because even if you've never bought any of my merch, you've never subbed to me, you've never given me bits, you watching my YouTube video and watching a Burger King ad that you got on my YouTube video gave me 0.0001 cents. Right? You gave me a fraction of a penny. You didn't give it to me. A company gave it to YouTube, which YouTube split 50-50 with me. But I obtained some value because your time is money. And you spending your time on me gives me a level of value in what I do as a job. And that's the same thing with all of the entertainment business. And it's the same with all of jobs in general. That's why you get paid per hour, right? Your time equates to money. And depending on the work or how much time you're doing or how professional or hard it is to do your job, that's why you make more money.
But they're the art we deserve.
What if I'm using an ad blocker? Oh, no, then I'm not making anything. Then you've never given me a penny.
On the note of internet clout, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like the video, or don't. Nothing really matters in our $6 million banana world. But anyway—
Sorry, Joe, you're good, bro.
Until now, we've looked at more mainstream
I'm not going to crash out on my viewers for using an ad blocker.
subcultures of hundreds of millions of people. But things get really weird when you step into hyper.
I was talking to Brady about that. He was like, he was talking about it. He's like, how much do you think I probably lose a significant amount of revenue from people using ad blockers, but it's like, there's nothing you can do about it. And why even think about it?
Niche subcultures. People become laser focused on gear and technical details, sometimes completely losing sight of the original hobby itself. Sneakerheads are the perfect example. They'll spend hours searching for tiny factory errors like misaligned stitching or an off-center logo or even an upside down.
Yeah, and that's what's so weird to me, dude. Because if you buy a really good fake for, say, a quarter of the price of the actual real shoe, if no one else, in my head, I've thought about this before, I could buy a really good fake, and unless they were a genuine sneakerhead that took the shoe off my foot and looked at it, they would never know. But in my brain, I wouldn't want to own those shoes because I know they're not real. Isn't that crazy? Like, but it shows you it doesn't matter. Like, why would I rather not buy fake turbo greens for $50 that have the same materials, same stitching? They're just fake and they have like one logo misstep or something that you would have to really inspect the shoe for, or $600 real turbo greens.
Logo. These tiny slip-ups can send prices either skyrocketing or plummeting depending on the error.
I want the shoe market to fucking tank so bad, just so it, like, they have to sell them for cheaper.
And whether the subculture decides that it's cooler.
No, it's not even that. It's resellers, bro. And I understand that's like a hustle, and I can respect that, but it's like, fuck, dude. What's like people that do it for like Pokemon packs where they just like buy out the vending machine so kids can't even use the fucking Pokemon cards? Like people that are actually interested in the trading card game aren't able to get new Pokemon packs. They love Pokemon. They play all the games. They want to get the new packs. Oh, sorry, scalpers. They got it. They resold it. Or like the PS5s. That really annoyed me. That era when the PS5 and the Xbox Series X came out and people were buying like 50 PS5s being like, what's up, guys? I got PS5s, reselling them for $800 a piece if you want one, hit my line. I'd be like, yo, you're a loser. Like, you're taking the fun away from a kid that wants to play video games and was asking his mom for that for Christmas. And now because that's a good mom, they're going to fucking go out there and they're going to pay your bitch ass $800 for a PS5 for their kid when they're barely scraping by, but they're trying to be a good parent and get their kid something they deserve. Their kid's going to be happy about it, but they're not really going to be able to appreciate it until fucking 20 years down the line. And then they're going to look back at it and feel bad, right? Like, that's an experience you're going to fucking have. Right? Like, your parents have, I'm not saying this of everybody, but there's so many situations where, like, your parents put you first a lot of the time. I'm not saying this of everybody. A lot of people got shitty parents. But, like, there's instances where people are going to do shit for you, and it's not even going to register in your brain, like, wow, they just, like, did that for me and got conned by somebody knowingly just because they were trying to make me happy. Like, the amount of parents that have to go through that in modern times, just, like, scalpers fucking people over for, like, I think the start of that was, like, the hoverboard era. When people, I think that's, like, our generation, but my half, right? I think you guys are on, like, a lot of you guys are, I'm in, like, the middle of Gen Z. A lot of you guys are on the back end of Gen Z. Like, I'm 23. When hoverboards dropped, everybody wanted them for Christmas, bro. And I remember that was, like, the start of, like, fakes, resale scalpers, like, coming out, like, actually just, like, conning you out of money for fucking a hoverboard that's worth $100.
Of Air Jordan 1s, known as the reverse shattered backboard, sold for almost $150K just because the Nike logo was stitched upside down.
I mean, that's what the Travis Scott shoes are backwards and they're worth like fucking $3,000.
Oh, and by the way, there's also an Air Jordan Cheeto up for auction right now. At the time of writing, the highest bid is over $5,000. Idiots with their Cheetos, man. Shit. But here's what's weird. While these enthusiasts meticulously dissect visible details under a magnifying glass, sometimes literally, they're equally obsessed with chasing something you can't measure or quantify at all. Audiophiles will spend thousands on vintage vacuum tubes, meticulously analyzing schematics, filament currents, and plate impedances. Yet what they're really chasing is something totally intangible and subjective. They want some vague, ethereal tube warmth or mojo that's impossible to measure. At least with visuals, you can put two things side by side and instantly compare. But audio relies entirely on memory. You have to listen to two different sounds, one after the other. by the time you're making your judgment, your subjective mind has already started messing with you. Audiophiles swear they can hear the difference in warmth from one tube to another, and maybe they can, but nobody else notices or cares. Mechanical keyboard enthusiasts are no better. They'll analyze switch action.
Oh my God, bro. I know that's half of my chat. The TikToks where you see somebody and they're going, orange creams. I don't give a fuck. I'm buying the same fucking shit, a dirty ass keyboard. I'm buying the same fucking Huntsman keyboard. I've gone through 10 of these, dude. I spill my Red Bull or my fucking G Fuel or whatever I'm drinking on them every time. I've gone through a million of them. I'm going to buy the same one. I'm not swapping out the fucking keys. And then at some point, I'm going to spill some shit on it. It's going to break, and then I'm going to buy a new one.
Actuation force. Carefully lubricate each individual spring and refine technical details down to like a fraction of a millimeter. And yet, their ultimate goal isn't technical perfection at all. It's finding the perfect typing sound, whatever that
sounds very important. Bro, I don't want it to be that loud. Wait, let me listen to this sound. Hold up. I don't really have click keyboards. Wait, let me play. Can you guys hear this? Like, I like that, where it's not loud. It's just like like barely. Yeah, I don't want it loud. I hate that shit. When you're on a Discord call and I hear, oh my God, I get so fucking mad. I want to be like, yo, if I'm in a Discord call with my friend and we're playing a video game and I actively hear him WASDing and I hear him going, and I hear when he's getting into a big fight. I don't even need to be watching his screen. I can hear when shit's getting crazy because he's quiet, but I just hear, and he's just fucking hitting it. And he's just spamming the keys, clacking back and forth. I'm like, dude, they're that loud? You're fucking 10 feet away from your mic? Or your keyboard's 10 feet away from your mic and I still fucking hear it?
Maybe they want something clicky.
Oh my God, that's literally the noise. Oh, that's literally, I hate that.
Or something poppy.
I hate that. Oh.
Or my personal favorite, something thocky.
That's kind of mine.
Looking for a perfect feel that's totally subjective and intangible, and the rabbit hole goes deeper when it comes to musical instruments. You've probably heard of Stradivarius violins. They were made hundreds of years ago by a master violinist. Musicians insist these priceless musical instruments have almost mythical tonal qualities. But blind tests repeatedly show that even expert violinists can't reliably hear the difference between a multi-million-dollar Stradivarius and a well-crafted modern violin. If experts can barely tell a difference, the average audience member at a concert will never be able to tell. But still, the myth lives on. As a bass player, I'm part of a subculture fixated on vintage Fender bass guitars. Early 1960s
I was just about to say, dude, like OG guitar, even the style of guitar, which does change, you know, potentially like the quality of the, you know, noise coming out of it. But if you're using like different types of electric guitars, people will hype up like styles just for even looks, just because they say it's better. Because a well-known guitarist that like played for Leonard Skinner or fucking somebody that was a part of Metallica used this guitar.
Their basses and guitars were very well made, but they've become more expensive than a new car at this point. The thing is,
$33,000.
Hobbyists still want to own vintage instruments, so collectors have started to obsess over Fenders from the 1970s. The thing is, Fender's quality control by that time was awful. They got acquired by a larger company and they basically just ran quality into the ground. These basses are often heavier than a boat anchor, they have unstable necks that warp like a banana, and they're just not very
That's an ugly fucking guitar. That's worth that much money.
well made. Don't get me wrong, there are some great Fender guitars from the 70s, but it's very hit or miss. And yet people gladly spend thousands of dollars chasing that intangible magic mojo that no one can define but everyone swears exists. They'll analyze wood grain patterns, fretboard radius, serial
It's not a guitar, it's a bass guitar. It's not called a guitar, a bass. I thought it's a bass guitar. It's not called a guitar. Really? I've always said you play bass guitar. I'll say that. Oh, I sound like an idiot then.
numbers. They're shelling out money for instruments that
I'm not
are
a guitar expert. I used to play guitar when I was a kid, but I played an acoustic guitar.
often objectively bad because of a feeling that they can't even put into words. And maybe that's the central
For years, too. I was actually pretty good. I wish I stuck with it. I'm not pretty good, meaning pretty good for like a 5th grader. Like, I knew how to play songs just on the dome. I don't know anymore at all. But I thought it was boring and nerdy so I stopped playing instruments.
Irony in all these niche communities. The deeper you dive into these tiny obsessive groups, the more value becomes disconnected from mainstream culture and shared meaning. Instead, it turns inward. It becomes intensely personal and self-serving, and borderline neurotic. It's an absurd contradiction, spending thousands of hours and dollars painstakingly dissecting concrete, measurable details, yet simultaneously pursuing something completely invisible and impossible to quantify.
Bro, that guitar's broken to shit. They tried to sell that on Pawn Stars. It's in pieces.
These communities aren't looking for wide recognition or mass appeal. In fact, their neurotic, obsessive nature actually thrives because nobody else understands or cares. The value these communities search for is personal and more about the pursuit itself. You're praying the next overpriced vintage purchase finally plugs that gaping hole of existential dread. You can keep buying instruments older than your dad and sneakers that didn't pass quality control, but try not to spiral too hard when you realize it's all a lie. All kidding aside, if you can afford to spend money on this stuff, it's fine, I guess. I buy stupid collectible things too. If you enjoy it, have fun with it, just don't let it own you. You're more than just a collection of things that you possess. What all of these people are searching
Well, yeah, I think it boils down to just an obsession of, modern society with materialism, but
for is genuine human connection. Ultimately, the objects we own help us feel linked to something bigger, a community, a subculture, or even an entire civilization. That's what $19 strawberries, fake pearl necklaces, and expensive guitars really represent. Tiny slices of connection. Most of us are—
I'll say this too about restaurants. I think like a local sushi place is better than like Nobu. And I've been to Nobu. No, for those of you that don't know, like it's the same, it's like value that's attributed to restaurants and I guess the prestige of certain restaurants as well. Like this was back when I used to be able to eat steak, but like I've been to a Jeff Ruby's, best steak I've ever had, not worth $300 fucking dollars. I've been to Nobu. I would say the best sashimi and nigiri I've ever had, but I would rather have 10 times as many pieces for the same exact price from a local sushi place. I would rather take the 10% decrease in quality for an 80% decrease in price.
so disconnected and starved for meaning that we'll pay almost anything for it. Sometimes that search genuinely fulfills us. Other times it just leaves us emptier than before.
Wagyu beef is so ass, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Oh, finally somebody fucking said it. Wagyu beef is fucking disgusting. Wagyu beef is fucking disgusting. A high quality aged filet would be like the steak that I would ideally eat in like a situation. I think people, if you've never had Wagyu beef, you're literally just eating fat. Like you're literally just eating fat. That is all. It's so gross. It's so gross. It's so highly praised. I had it. The first bite tastes good. You only need one bite. If you're ever at a place where you could buy 1 ounce or 2 ounces of Wagyu beef, yeah, sure, go fucking buck wild, dude. Go crazy. But don't buy a whole fucking Wagyu steak. I was at a wedding one time. This was when I was like probably 13. And they were like, they had to buy the room. This was at a Jeff Ruby's. They had to buy the room. And if you buy the room, you're getting charged at least like $6,000, right? Because it's at a high quality restaurant. You're taking up a huge amount of space. You own this room for 4 hours, 5 hours. You have to spend at least $6,000. If you don't spend $6,000, we're going to charge $6,000. So they were telling everybody, buy the most expensive shit that you want, because even if we spend $3,000, we still have to pay $6,000. So you might as well spend more. So I was like, okay, I'll buy Wagyu steak. I ate the whole fucking thing. It was like 5 ounces. And then I ate a bunch of other appetizers too. It was a smaller steak, 5-ounce steak. If I'm getting a filet, I would normally get like a 10-ounce steak, right? I eat the steak. That night, oh my God, I threw up. I had the worst stomach pain I've ever had, and I know it was from the fucking fatty steak, because everything else I ate that day, I've eaten before. It was that fucking steak. It was just fat, dude. But near the end of it, I was like sluggishly eating it. And it was only like a 5-ounce steak. I go 3 ounces in. I'm like, I feel like I'm eating lard, dude.
Eventually, cultural artifacts fade into obscurity.
Bro's the vegan teacher. I ain't the vegan teacher. I had a piece of an aged filet there. It was the best steak I've ever had in my entire life. That Wagyu steak was fucking disgusting.
And Rafi was telling me how 20 years ago, a beautifully restored vintage wooden
It tasted good? Yeah, and then it sits in your stomach, and you immediately get repulsed by it.
radio might fetch $1,000. Today, you'd struggle to get $300 for it. It doesn't matter how old, rare, or cool something is if nobody remembers why they should care. Once you lose the cultural context, the value fades with it. Cultural relevance eventually fades, but personal relevance can endure a lifetime. The most meaningful connections to objects are deeply personal. Imagine your house is on fire and you only have time to save one.
Bro, that's also why I try to have, like, this is not a merch plug, by the way. Merch is out, though. Anyways, that's why I try to make my merch, like, shit that has nothing to do with me. Not only because I think it's cringy when influencers make merch that's just, like, directly attributed to their face or name, but it's also, like, at some point, you're not going to watch me, you know? At some point, you're not going to watch me. I'm going to fall off. I won't do social media anymore. You'll still be able to wear that shirt, right? But if I just had a shirt that said Joe Bartolozzi and you just stop, you're never going to wear that again. But if it says Memento Mori, it has a cool design, you fuck with it, it has value and meaning outside of me.
An object. Your choices are a brand new $4,000 MacBook Pro or something worthless to everyone else but deeply meaningful to you. Maybe it's a junky wristwatch from a deceased parent. Your scuffed up wedding ring.
God, what's that called? Like heirlooms. Things that you pass down from family member to family member, those are priceless, dude. Some shit that your grandpa, your dad, your mom, your grandma owns that they're going to hand to you and you're supposed to hand to your kids. Those are the most valuable things you'll have because they're directly attributed to your family.
Or a stuffed animal from your first date with your longtime partner. Most people would reach instinctively for the sentimental object. Maybe you're not sure, but the fact that it isn't an easy choice reveals what we truly value. It reminds me of that scene in Pulp Fiction where Butch, played by Bruce Willis, risks his life for an old, beat-up wristwatch. To anyone else, it's worthless. You couldn't pawn it for $20. But to Butch, it's everything. His father carried it through unimaginable hardships during war, ultimately dying before Butch ever got to meet him. The watch is the closest Butch ever got to his father. Within that personal context, a worthless old timepiece becomes priceless.
I think that's like, as an example, like my grandpa recently died. I got all the cologne that he had, and it's only worth like $40. It is the great, I don't care about assets. I don't care about money going where, right? That is like you know, he gave me a watch when I graduated high school, right? I will keep, regardless of how much that watch is ever worth, I'm never selling it. Right, I would ideally give that watch to my kid whenever I have a kid when he graduates high school. Right, similarly, it would be the same transition where you hold those things because, yes, they might have some level of monetary value, but they also mean something to you. Right, so I could respect that out of art. I could respect that out of family heirlooms. I just think that some people broadcast an overt value to things that don't really have any value outside of a very short span of time where they give it some high level of value because of hype and social strain on that situation, if that's the right thing to say, like a meme or something that's popping off so it gains value. Meme coins rise, CSGO skins rise, popular game things, right? Accounts that are tied to like certain Fortnite skins, like shit like that, that's kind of stupid to me. But if you're like the other situations where it's like, wow, this is really meaningful to the people around me, myself, this matters, that's great. Right.
Is why personal value is so powerful. It transforms ordinary objects into irreplaceable repositories of meaning. The most valuable objects aren't those recognized by broad cultures or niche communities. They're the ones tied directly to our personal stories. The objects worth obsessing over are the ones that remind us who and what we care about. Please consider supporting me on Patreon. My plan is
fucking video, dude. I loved that. This reminds me of a weird cultural narrative about hand sewing. I'm a seamstress. Most of the garments I make involve some sort of hand sewing. Usually use hand sewing for preparing garments. People are actually incredibly impressed and think things are more valuable when I hand sew them. Hand sew parts of the initial construction. When the same effort and skill goes into repair, it suddenly makes people perceive the repair work as less valuable. Yeah, people like skilled hand-based labor, like handcrafted goods are always promoted. People like things that are made by hand rather than machine. Damn, dude. That's also another thing. Even if the quality is exactly the same. Because you know more time went into it. That's really what it is.